Hi, welcome to Crafted Sweetly. I'm Diana. Thanks so much for being here. This will be a rather short video. I just wanted to show you how to kind of compensate if the pattern that you have doesn't quite match up with the book you have. So what I have here is I've created a whole collection of letters, floral letters for photo book art. I just chose letter B. I don't know why, just one of the letters here. Kind of love the flowers on it. And I've made all the patterns in the alphabet for the same size book. So they're all 23 centimeters or 9.055 inches and 380 pages. So the pattern is all ink saver, as you can see here, and it goes up to 380 right there. Now, that's my pattern. For the book itself is, I counted the pages. If I look at the last page here, it's 388. And then there's one more leaf. I include that. That's 390. And then there are some leading pages here, which added up to 398 with these leading pages in the front. So my book is 398 pages. And then I measured the height of the book, and the height of the book is, I think, 23.3, if I remember correctly. I measured it a couple days ago here. 23. It's a little less than 23 actually. So it's 22.6.7. So my pattern is my book is 22.7 centimeters. I have more pages than needed, but it's a shorter book than the pattern. So what do? What I'm going to do for the pages is, as you can see, there's some white area on each side of the pattern, and you can see that on the pattern as well here. I've got 3 strips that don't have any pattern on them. And then at the end, I have a few strips that don't have design on them. Okay, so what I'll do is, because right now, you kind of have to adjust based on the pattern. Now, if there was pattern all the way till the end, then this version would not work. So if right now I have white space before and after, so I'm going to use the technique I'm about to show you. But if your pattern goes all the way till the end, so your first strip already has pattern in it, then really what I would recommend is, if it's only a couple pages, you could technically remove the pages. But if it's a lot of pages, then you can create a decorative border like this, where you're adding kind of a design, folded design at the beginning and at the end. And you have to divide the pages evenly to make sure that, you're not adding design just at the front. So figure out how many extra pages you have, and you're going to do a design at the beginning, at the end. And that's what I'm kind of doing with this. Now, when I look at the printed pattern, I have 3 strips here. So technically I have, how many I have? 18 pages, which means 9 strips. So 9 extra strips based on the book that I have is what I would need. I'm missing 9 strips. And I have 3 strips here that are white, and at the end I have a whole bunch more than 3. So I've got 10 there, and then another 6 here. So what I would recommend, now if you had the same number of empty strips at the beginning and at the end, I would just take the 9 strips and divide them half at the front, half at the beginning. Well, can't divide 9 strips in half, so I would probably do 4 strips in the front and 5 strips in the back. But because I have all these white strips already in the back, I'm just going to add all 9 strips in the front, and that'll center this even more. So that's what I will do with the design. And what I did was, because in order to have these strips, I just printed an extra page from the end. So the last page is the white strips. I just printed another page of this one so that I have additional white strips. So you could still do that decorative border if you choose, but I decided to just add more strips at the beginning and at the end. So I'm going to cut this because I'm going to add all 9 strips at the beginning plus these 3 and then start my pattern. So in a sense, I'm kind of taking, let's see, I'm going to do this. So I'm using my caterpillar crop. I need 9 strips, so I really don't need the last one. So that I discard. And this is my pattern. I took these 9 strips right at the front to cover the beginning, and then the rest of my pattern is like this. Okay, so that's how you have to kind of work in adjusting your pattern to fit a particular book that you have. So I'll add So I'm going to take this off at the top as I usually do, and then I'll show you at the bottom how much it actually is. Now, next thing I usually do is I take the bottom off. But before I do that, I'm going to kind of check and see how it looks, you know, how much space it actually is in the book. So what I'll do is I'm going to put this off to the side here. Let me cut 1 strip, and actually I will use the tester strip here, or the strip that I discarded. The nice thing with the caterpillar crop, it has the light, if you haven't seen one, where it makes it so much easier to cut the strips because you know exactly where that blade is going. So let me see at this point. So I'm gonna use my strip embosser, and this, if you haven't seen it, the strip goes down, and if you press on it, then you end up with the strip already embossed, and makes it so much easier to fold in half right there. You can do, depending on the weight of the paper, you can do up to 3 or 4 strips. Now if you're using heavier paper, then you may only do a couple at a time. But I left everything on here for this one. And again, this is just the tester one. I want to see how much of the strip I need to cut off at the bottom, and after that I can do it mass produced. So I'm not gluing this down, I'm just testing it here. So right at the top. Okay, I said that the strip was too short. It's actually too long. I got my measurements backwards. So it's a 23 centimeter book, and my book is only 22.7. So I'm gonna cut off above this line in order for it to work. And usually, again, I take off everything at the bottom to make it uniform. But with this, because it's going to make it harder to kind of gauge where I need to cut it, I'm actually would apply the strip and then just use scissors to cut it. So let me cut a few strips here. So at this one, I will take this part off because it just makes it easier, like at the bottom somewhere, it doesn't really matter. And then I'm gonna cut these strips. Now these are all white, so you obviously can't scramble them. Okay, so I have these strips, and let me move this out of the way here and get my stand in place. Okay, so let me do a couple of embossed pieces here. And the numbers are still on there. I'll take them off afterwards. Whoops, what did I do? Okay, here we go. And the thing with this is you can also slide it, so that makes it easy to mark things. Okay, so what I'll do is, let me move this out of the way. And I do have links below in the description box for the various tools that I have in my Etsy shop. A little bit of tape at the top and at the bottom. And obviously can't mix these, like as I said. So I'm gonna add this at the top here. Make sure the strip is all the way against the page so that it's flush. Same at the bottom. And now I have this extra piece. And I'm gonna use scissors to cut these off. As I mentioned, I usually will cut on a pattern like this. I'll actually cut the tops off, the bottoms off, and then I put them in the strip holder that I have that I've purchased from Suzanne. And I do have these as well available. For this, you would have to message me through Facebook, or you can email me at craftedsweetly1@gmail.com, and I can get these for you if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, then you would get them directly from Suzanne. But yeah, so I usually, like I said, cut top, bottom off, and then I put them in the strip folder. Now, if your book is taller and you don't have enough strip to cover your entire book, then what I would recommend is leaving the bottom part open, and then you could always add a ribbon or some kind of decorative, you know, washi tape or some kind of embellishment at the bottom. When you're cutting this, if your strip is too long, so these are all just options to make your book fit the pattern. My pattern is here. If I look at the pattern right here, further into the book, I'm gonna be trimming pretty close to the edge here. So I think it's fine. You know, the pattern goes pretty close to the top as well, right there. So I would still keep trim at the bottom. So I'm gonna lose, it's gonna be right at the edge here. But I think that's fine. It's not, I'm not really cutting into the book, into the pattern itself. Now, if that's the case, if your book is that short, then you more than likely would want to look for a book that's slightly closer to the size that's required in the pattern. Press, slide, and I have my strips embossed. One other option is if your book is too tall and your strip is not long enough, instead of cutting it there, you could leave this on and you would just have a line at the bottom. So you can buy yourself an extra, what is that, about 1/4 of an inch? But you would have this line kind of visible across the book. So what I'll do is I'm going to continue this book. I didn't cut this one off. I'll probably end up putting a whole bunch of strips on and then cutting in batches so I don't have to keep picking up the scissors. I am all about assembly line type of thing. So usually my process for strips is I cut all the strips up, put them in that holder, and then apply the strips. Now this I would just do in batches to cut off. You could even score all these and then put them back in that holder. So that way you don't have to pick this up every time you need to score. You would just already have these scored and then keep them in the holder like this. So that makes it nice and easy. As you notice, I haven't been paying much attention to these strips as I'm applying them because they're all white. So they certainly can't be out of order. Now, do you need this strip embosser? Most definitely you don't. Do you need this book folding stand? You don't. You really don't need any tools to do this craft. You could technically, you know, if you have some scissors and some double-sided tape, you could do this craft. Does it make it more complicated or take longer, I should say? Yes, it can. But it's so these are more tools of convenience, I guess it would be the case. So I have 3 strips here that I'm embossing. Whoops. It's just pressing down and going over. So it may seem like it's an added step, but it does add to accuracy because it's folded right down the middle or scored right down the middle. So you don't have to worry about it as you're folding, the strip going askew. So what I'll do is I'll continue this book. I'll do about half the book, half the pattern as usual, and then kind of check in and show you the progress. And then also like what it looks like with the bottom trimmed off, or how close the bottom gets to it. Okay, so that's my leading 9 pages in a sense, or the extra 9 pages, which are covered all at the beginning because of the way the pattern is. So you have to kind of work with the pattern. If you're not sure, always reach out to the pattern maker. They will certainly have suggestions on how to adapt the pattern to your book if they can't alter the book for you, or if the, there we go, whoops, is that in? Oh, it wasn't allowing me because I have the extra tabs here at the bottom, so let me trim these off real quick. Okay, so I trimmed those off and make sure nothing's nesting inside each other, which they tend to do. And that's the beginning of the book there. Okay, my white strips. Nothing exciting at the moment, but I'll continue the book and then check back in. So I just wanted to quickly pop in and show you the progress so far and how the letter is starting to shape up. So there we have, let me zoom out to just a tad here. So far, just starting on the letter B here and continuing the book. But I just wanted to show you, as my usual, about halfway into the book. I think I'm about halfway in. 200, yeah, a little more than halfway there. So this is what it looks like so far, and then I'll show you at the end. But my 2 favorite tools these days are my strip embosser. It just makes folding so much easier, and you know, just putting it in here and then having the strips scored makes it super easy. So I just put it in and then slide this back and forth a little bit, and then it creates the embossed part right there. So that's the strips there, and then of course the Suzanne strip holder. That way I can keep all my strips in here just like this. So I'll get going with this and then show you the finished design. Book is now complete, so I just wanted to show you the final design. And I do have the entire alphabet in my Etsy shop and different designs for each one, but they're all a floral based letter. So if you're interested, I'll have the link below for the collection. But hope you like seeing what one of the letters looks like. Eventually maybe I'll do all the letters, but pretty ambitious, so unless I need a particular letter, likely I won't be doing them, but I just wanted to show you what one looks like. So if you have any questions, again, this was more just to show you what the letter versus any new technique. I do have a ton of videos showing the various techniques, but this was just to show you what the letter looks like. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Don't forget to join my Facebook group. I do have some free files, patterns in my Facebook group, so be sure to join there. But thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project. Have a beautiful day.